Welcome to the Promoting Positive Practice in the Classroom series. Today we're focusing on practice 2, positively greet students and proactively prompt. Each session will be led by a different presenter, and today I have the honor of presenting this content. Nice to meet you. My name is Maria Reina Santiago Rosario. This professional development series is designed to support administrators and educators in creating classrooms that nurture students' social, emotional, and behavioral growth in a way that honors their identities and cultural histories. And today's focus is just one piece of that bigger picture. In this series, we are working toward building classrooms where everyone feels valued, cared for, and safe to grow and engage in learning. And together we will cover 9 key practices, what they are, what the research says, and how we implement them. And for this skill building webinar specifically, we focus on positively greet and proactively prompting students as they come into the classroom and start the day with intention, connection, and learning in mind. So our agenda is showing that we will first define positive greetings and proactive prompting. We'll also consider why engaging in these practices matter. And we will also have the chance to discuss implementation steps and considerations. We will engage in guiding practices to hone in on what those active elements are. And we'll have time more at the end of this session to reflect on intentional inputs and plan our implementation of these practices. And we'll also think about how are we going to prepare ourselves and prompt ourselves to monitor and adjust our practices over time. So if you're here live, we'll do that more at the end. If you're watching this recording, make sure to look at the facilitation guide. What is a positive greeting? What is a proactive prompt during arrival? Whether first thing in the morning or whenever students enter your class, let's define these practices. A positive greeting is a daily routine. It's an opportunity to welcome students, to work that connection with them, and to sustain authentic, positive interactions that set a positive and warm tone. When we witness a positive greeting routine, we hear many positive, valued, and specific behavior praises, and we see authentic, positive connections. We also see teachers proactively prompting expectations, cultivating that student autonomy, and facilitating a smooth transition into learning. Here's a fun example by Mr. Barry White, who's known for personalized greetings with each of his students. Look at those moves. I know I would have a lot of fun with like a Mr. Barry White. Other ways we can positively greet, or how it might look like and sound like, could be a teacher crouching to greet students at their eye level, right? Showing that respect, asking genuine, specific, relationship-based questions that shows that you know that student. How did your game go? Using visual greetings, posters with choices that students can independently select. Greeting them with humor, right? Not at the expense of them, but of things that you have in common and can make the situation lighthearted. Or offering a quick check-in, thumbs up or thumbs down, a mood meter. Those are all other examples of how a positive grading may look like. A positive grading is not ignoring students as they enter the classroom. It's not rushing through that grading. It's not disconnected. It's not standing at the desk grading the papers instead of engaging with the student. It's not grading students negatively or sarcastically, especially sarcastically if you don't have a relationship with them. It's not noticing students only when they engage or an incident happens. It's not starting class with a punitive reminder, like don't talk or you'll lose points, for instance. What is a proactive prompt? Proactive prompting is a clear cue that communicates what the expected behavior is, what it looks like and sounds like. It's given before the behavior is expected. What is it that you want students to be able to do themselves before instruction begins or the group can be addressed? We want this practice to happen before the behavior typically occurs. Lastly, proactive prompting can be spoken, especially at the beginning when there's a lot of explicit teaching needing to happen, but it can also be shown through gestures or a mix of both. Let's see an example from Miss Dani Bueller from Briar Road Public School in Australia.
Beautiful. Byron, I love your Luana learners. Great job. Nagan BKB. Can I have your eyes in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Lani, for turning your eyes to me. Ivan, thank you for having your eyes on me. Just waiting for Destiny. Thank you, lady. When you go inside, your bags are going to go on your... Good. Your lunch boxes will go on your... Where are they going to go? On your... Good job. Water bottles will go in the... Beautiful. Byron, I love your Luana learners. Great job. Nagan BKB. Can I have your eyes in 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Lani, for turning your eyes to me. Ivan, thank you for having your eyes on me. Just waiting for Destiny. Thank you, lady. When you go inside, your bags are going to go on your... Good. Your lunch boxes will go on your... Where are they going to go? On your... Good job. Water bottles will go in the...
Other examples of proactive prompting can look like a visual schedule, one that you use to point to the next step. It could be call and responses cues, like when I say ready to learn, you say I'm here. We also saw Ms. Dani use that one. They can look like an agenda slide that is projected with clear instructions and expectations that maybe you refer to orally or you can point to. An oral prompt. Remember, we walk with quiet feet in the hallways. It could be nonverbal cues, like tapping on the board, pointing to the agenda or to a visual schedule. Or it could be a reminder aligned with school-wide norms. Let's start strong, phones in backpack, and voice at level 1. On this slide, we're looking at non-examples of proactive prompts. And non-examples of proactive prompts can be waiting until the behavior incident occurs to then give students that direction or that correction. It happens after the fact. It may be phrasing things as to what not to do instead of what to do and describing that behavior. It could be starting the activity without stating behavioral expectations at all. Non-examples include assuming that the students know the expectations, so you don't state them, so you're not prompting them to engage because they know, right? No. Also, a non-example could be giving vague instructions, like behave yourself, instead of clearly describing what it is that you want to see or hear the students do. So we've gone over the definitions. over examples and non-examples. And we want to make sure that as you're getting ready to plan and implement positive gradings and proactive prompting, that we anchor back to key resources. So on this slide, you have some from the Center on PBIS related to an overview of the practices, how to go about it, why it's important, and other possible variations of it. There's information on classroom habits, as well as some potential prompts to support building, designing classroom entry routine if that's something that needs to still be taught explicitly. And we're always connecting back to our Be Positive app to support reminders of engaging in practices, or if you want to keep track of your current rate. So those are some of those resources, and we are embedding the Establish a Consistent and Organized and Respectful Learning Environment video from the CEC. So I want to make sure that you can leverage the leadership and faculty guides from the CEC's high leverage practices. And on this slide, we've identified at least 4 that we think are highly relevant to effective and culturally sustaining implementation of positive gradings and proactive prompts. We've defined positively grade students and proactively prompting them. Now we're asking, why should we invest our time in using these practices? You know, when I think of the why positively grade students or proactively prompting them, I think of this quote by Toni Morrison. When a child walks in the room, your child or anybody else's child, do your eyes light up? That's what they're looking for. It's that connection, that first connection in the day in which they see you and they see that you care, that they're here, present with you. Doing that every day, building that relationship, how far that can go with just positive connections every day. Another thing to consider when reflecting on why implementing positive gradings and proactive prompting is important is the evidence behind it, which simply tell us that this low-cost strategy yields high rewards, investment for the time that we are spending on connection with our students. So on this graph, we're looking at 4 studies, right? 4 of them looked at on-task behavior, or how students were actively engaging with learning. And Cook's also looked at directly disruptive behavior. So they compared how much time the student was spending in these behaviors before the teacher started grading and during intervention was occurring. And it clearly shows, we see, right, green is baseline, blue is intervention, and we see that for on-task behavior across studies representing middle school, elementary schools, and adults with intellectual disabilities in treatment facilities, we see an increase of many percentage points across these studies, and a reduction in the percentage point of disruptions occurring in that classroom. There was also a study by Alsday that looked at how fast would students start engaging in learning as a result of receiving this intervention. And it's clear here that they were about 72% faster, right? This is a percentage change that they saw in this study, right? We get a lot for this practice. In addition to the behaviors that we saw on the last slide, positive greetings and proactive prompting also foster strong relationship between students and teachers and between peers. It also promotes what we talked about: task initiation, increased sustained focus, reduced disruption, but also it drops referrals, so it reduces exclusions that we see in our schools, and the disparities that we see in discipline referrals for Black students. That was found by one of the Cook studies. And also, as a result of it, we see that it nurtures motivation, that it supports feeling of belongingness and school connectedness for those students in the classroom. So you're probably asking yourself at this point, how do we implement these practices? What are the steps that I need to take? Now, before we go into the steps of a positive greetings and the proactive prompting, I want to connect back to our last skill building session, to explicitly teaching expectations and classroom routines. And before engaging in the positive greeting, I really need you to be thinking and asking yourself, have you taught your entry routine? Do you have a solid entry routine that you've designed and that you explicitly taught and reinforced, and then working with your students, right? We want to make sure that we engage in these 5 steps to explicit teaching of expectations and routines. So when we talk about what are the active ingredients of positive greetings and proactive prompting, we're talking about the following 4 steps. We're talking about standing at or near the door, greeting students by their preferred name, positively interacting with them, whether verbally, acknowledging them, providing behavior-specific praises, nonverbal gestures like smile or fist bump, and prompting them towards that entry routine, to what that first activity looks like, or any behavior that they may need to practice, and you want to support them starting their day differently than yesterday, right? And that last one is the hardest step to implement, and we see implemented with less frequency. So that's why we want to bring focus to it. Some variations of positive greetings that we like to highlight are, for instance, using questions of the day or of the week and asking students to consider things about their future, goal, dreams, and other common themes that will allow you to really get to know better them as they're coming in, and you can use that to support your relationships. You can also provide a quiet, independent entry activity then circulating around to ensure that you're having that positive connection with your students. Or you can also consider training students to be greeters or a greeter leader, and either with them or having them do that independently, they can also greet each student in the morning. And as you have the opportunity today to reflect on your positive greetings and proactive prompts, we want you to be thinking and being intentional in how you are establishing that collaboration with your students, your families, your colleagues. Are you asking your students how they would like to be greeted, or hold a class vote to choose a few greeting options for the month, for instance? How are you collaborating with families for a smooth arrival? Are you partnering with families to ensure a calm and supportive transition for children at drop-off time? Are we connecting with our colleagues and sharing ideas, checking with each other? Are we using similar greeting strategies? Take time to chat about what's worked for you or what's worked for them, and you might gain fresh perspectives or new approaches to try. We also want to be thinking about our daily greeting and that building that connection and that engagement. Are we learning about the student? Are we using their preferred names? Are we honoring their cultural norms? How can we do this when we're greeting them? Is it around eye contact? Is it around personal space? Is it maybe around the language that I use when I greet them? We also want you to be thinking about making this space inclusive and safe, right? We want this to be consistent and establish a predictable routine, using calm tones to support students with sensory sensitivities, and promoting a safe environment during arrival. And we want to be using multiple modes of communication. So thinking about how am I incorporating verbal, visual, and nonverbal cues? to ensure that all of my students can access and engage with greetings in a way that suits their communication. Now let's do some guided practice. So we are going to play Watch and Spot, and our task is to view the clip and quickly spot the active ingredients of positive greetings and proactive prompting that we observe in that video. And as you're doing that, I want you to consider, in what ways do your current practice align with or differ from what you're observing?
Example from Miss Judy from Lassinger Elementary in Georgia. Okay, we can totally see Miss Judy is standing near or at the door when greeting her students. From this snippet, we don't really hear any greetings by name, and that would need to be occurring consistently with the students to select it. We do see plenty of positive interactions. Students get to choose what type of greetings they give their teachers, so there's a lot of hugs and smiles and fist bumps, plenty of opportunities for positive connections. And again, we don't see prompts for behavior or directions to activity, not from this snippet. Here's another example from Miss Danny Bueller.
Once you've done that, you're going to get your whiteboard and your marker and sit on the floor. Good job. And you guys go straight to the hook. Oh, thank you. Well done, Byron. I love your Luana learners. So sensible. Miss Smith, can you just watch them with their bags? Thank you. Oh, I like how Takoa is...
Okay, so we see that Miss Danny greeting students near at the door. We don't hear greetings by name, not consistently for all students, so we're not really selecting that component. But we do see that there's a lot of prompting for behavior or directions to the activity. She's very strong at this, and there's also like positive interactions happening with acknowledgments and specific praises occurring.
Once you've done that, you're going to get your whiteboard and your marker and sit on the floor. Good job. And you guys go straight to the hook. Oh, thank you. Well done, Byron. I love your Luana learners. So sensible. Miss Smith, can you just watch them with their bags? Thank you. Oh, I like how Takoa is...
Let's watch this example from a secondary classroom physics teacher.
Good morning, Loka. Good morning. Wendy, how you doing? Corbin. Hey, Joel. Matt. Justin. Andrew, nice to see you today. Alana, how you doing? Samantha. Josh, nice to see you today.
Guten Morgen.
Michael.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning. Wie geht's?
So we definitely see this teacher standing near at the door and a very strong game of greeting every student by their name and plenty of positive interactions with the handshake.
Good morning, Loka. Good morning. Wendy, how you doing? Corbin. Hey, Joel. Matt. Justin. Andrew, nice to see you today. Alana, how you doing? Samantha. Hey.
Now we're getting to the plan and do and thinking about implementation in your context. In a minute, you'll have the opportunity to go ahead and start planning. And when you start planning, we want you to think first about what are the intentional inputs that you're putting in place when grading students and proactively prompting them, or in preparing for these practices that really authentically establish collaborative relationship and partnerships with your students, your families, your colleagues. How are you integrating and interacting in a way that's celebrating and affirming the students' identities and lived experience in that interaction, and how through all of this process and the partnerships and what you learn, how do you get to build that inclusive and safe space? What are things that you can do to make it more accessible and inclusive? Now we're getting to the meat of it, right? We want you to use any available resource that you have to really think about what you're going to plan and do. How are you going to check yourself and reflect on the work that you're doing, and doing this ongoingly to support consistency and sustainability in your practices. So we are going to leverage these like 4 steps to the planning process, right? We want you to be estimating your current practices within grading, thinking about how frequently, how consistently are you thinking of and honoring students' preferences and values, and what's your proactive prompting rate right now within this routine, right? After, we want you to be thinking of your realistic goal out of all these dimensions of the practice. Which ones are you going to focus on and you're going to target to improve? Then about how you will carry out your goal. So what methods fit your style? And thinking about planning for that strategy, and how are you going to make things most feasible for yourself in that context. And lastly, it's supporting sustainability by thinking of how are you going to help yourself increase the rate in which you engage in the practice, but monitor yourself in doing that, right? Creating reminders, collaborating with your families and colleagues to keep each other accountable. How are you going to celebrate when you meet your goals, right? And reinforce this behavior ongoingly. Then you'll come back to this moment, and once you've had the opportunity of implementing your plan, to check how you did, to monitor your practice and adjust as needed. And in doing so, we really want you to be, leveraging technology, checklists, weekly logs to monitor your efforts, and also reflecting with your students and your colleagues as to what's going well, what may be blocking your progress, or what adjustments may be helpful, and what is aligned with your goal. So we've had the opportunity to define what are positive gradings and proactive prompting. We've also had the opportunity to go over the evidence and the rationale as to why we want to build better relationships and connect with students through these practices. We've gone over implementation steps and tips to consider, as well as had the opportunity to engage in guided practices to identify active ingredients of these strategies. If you've watching the recording, you might have started some of the opportunities to plan and do in real life, and to plan for checking on your practices and adjust as needed once you've seen and reflected on your data. But if you're here live, you'll have the opportunity to do this in the next couple of minutes. Thank you so much for joining us today and promoting positive practices in the classroom. I hope you've enjoyed Focus Practice 2, Positively Greet Students and Proactively Prompt. Please join us next time, where we will be talking more about positive, valued, and specific behavior praises.